Okay, so welcome back to BizMat Ptbo. Thank you so much, Terry Guiel, my favorite human from downtown, the DBIA, for joining us. So when I first moved to Peterborough, Terry, I thought, was the mayor. He was also the human playing guitar at Riley's. He was everywhere. And I moved in to Peterborough from Toronto thinking, wow, this is the coolest man in the world. And he has truly become, in my mind, the coolest man in the world, running our downtown. And I love what you do, Terry. So Terry, thank you for joining me. You were part of the first series episodes that we had, part of the second one, and this is our third season that we are doing BizMap. And now I'm curious if you can share with us, Terry, a little bit of who you are, who is the DBIA, in case people don't know, and then I'd also love for you to say what you had to do different during the pandemic to support your businesses and what you see going forward to support your businesses. Over to you.
Oh, sure. So yeah, I'm Terry Guiel, Executive Director of the Downtown Business Improvement Area, or known as the DBIA. And we represent over 400 businesses in our downtown. Approximately 100 of those are places to eat, and the rest are a mix of retail and service oriented. And we're, of course, the heart of the community. And a lot of people don't know this, but collectively, the levy, the taxes collected from the downtown contributes to 32% of the commercial tax base for the city of Peterborough. So it is vitally important to have a healthy downtown for the greater good of the entire community. So that's why that's important. Plus, with institutions like Fleming and Trent, one of the first things parents or students do when they're looking at where to go for education, they'll look at the downtown, and they'll look at the amenities, the entertainment, the culture, and see if it's fitting for their students. And plus, a lot of corporations will, if they're considering relocating to certain areas, will do some research on the downtowns. So there really is a litmus test of for everybody, from developers to people who want to open business, to do school, to move. They'll always check out a downtown. We have, I think, one of the most healthiest downtowns in the region. We definitely have one of the most culinary superb areas in the region. I would put our restaurants against any in Ontario.
I'm partially a foodie, and I have to say I'm so impressed with our restaurants. We have attract some of the best chefs, and I think they keep on upping each other's game is what's going on here. And they love all the produce that's available to them at a very close distance. They're able to work with their farmers. They're proud to look at their menu and say, this comes from this person, this comes from this person. The quality is amazing, and it seems to be very personal as far as you can relate to where everything is coming from. It's very exciting.
There is a lot of direct connectivity to the immense amount of farm produce that's within a short distance, even shorter when the farmers market is operating Wednesdays and Saturdays in the downtown. And a lot of the culinary students come out of the program from Fleming. So, and of course, your background there is Hunter Street, which also has so many fabulous restaurants, and it's the location where we hold Hootenanny. And of course, that's the other major thing that the DBI does. We do a lot of events, Hootenanny, Pulse, Taste of Downtown. We're planning, actually, just announced today, we're planning, talking about food, and I think you're going to love this. We're planning a mac and cheese festival for October. So
October, yeah, good. The whole month of October.
Whole month. So,
but that's perfect timing, because by then I know most of us will have had our second vaccines. So October is a perfect time.
Well, this is going to be a passive, safe event. So we can't. We're very reluctant right now to do large events, and
sure.
I don't believe we'll get approval for any large or medium-sized events until at least next year. So this is an event. That's why it's over a month. You go to different restaurants and check out and vote for your favorite mac and cheese. So, being a post-secondary hotbed with Trent and Fleming. I remember my college days. That was the number one meal for me. Summit's ramen noodles. So we decided, well, we got to do something pretty cheesy. So this is
Oh,
it.
very funny. Yes.
So
Dum-dum-bum.
so
Yeah.
that's what we do. We do a lot of advocating. We do, as you see, this winter, the Christmas lights, the holiday lights that went up. That's something we do. Right now, there's beautiful flowers boxes downtown.
Those huge yellow flower pots. I love those. Was that you
No,
guys?
we planted those and the flower pots and right now the painted patios, picnic tables at the restaurant patios and the painted flower pots, painted the canoe paddles. We tried our best to hire as many local artists as we could and employ as many of them through this very difficult month or year and a half. But I think what would be interesting to you and your viewers is, the effectiveness of BIAs across Ontario, and I would put us, our DBIA up there in the top BIA that responded when COVID hit, with a number of initiatives we did. I could probably talk for hours on the initiatives, but I'll give you an executive overview of those. And I believe that some of these things that we initiated early on in the pandemic have now made our members so much stronger that after the pandemic, they're going to be much better equipped to compete with the Amazons of the world and to be just to be overall more easy to navigate and interact with their customer base. So,
well, I mean, basically it's all about during the pandemic, shop local, shop online with us, because we can do it now because of a lot of the things that Terry and his team brought in for us to be able to have to help us. You can shop local online. And that was outstanding that you're able to help your businesses do that. And that's really what happened. Shop local, but shop online, because that's where we are now for you. And it's going to be interesting. Changing someone's patterns, they say, or habits takes about 3 months. And we've been at it for a year and a half, where a lot of your businesses jumped on the bandwagon with what you're about to talk about, or some of the support that you're able to provide. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, right off the top, we knew that that our businesses were of course going to be financially devastated. And there was a lot of ambiguity with what did they need, last March, what did they need, like,
and for how long,
for barriers and whatnot, and deciphering information. So we were a great resource for information, for clearing up a lot of the gray, which is still going on today. It's very muddy, the communication from the government. But one of the things we did is we gave away free COVID kits to our members. So that was the really good, high quality plexiglass barriers. Also, we put together, with that, packages of COVID compliant.
That's right.
Floor decals and door decals and stickers, hand sanitizer, masks. And so we put together these packages and made sure our businesses were ready when the all clear or levels of opening happened. That was significant. So it was very good if you were a BI member. Because,
well, it gave them a peace of mind. Okay, I don't have to worry about that because I've got so many other things I'm trying to figure out. My staffing levels. What do I do with people? I'm not making any. It's just that was
not
fabulous.
Knowing where to go. Yeah, knowing where to go. But I don't think there's any other BIA in Ontario doing that. And the other thing was we, of course, Digital Main Street. We got some great funds. We got over $100,000 in funds. All about it. Put together a really great team, and see, we were doing this before. We were getting our what I mean by Digital Main Street to the group out there is we were training. We were training our businesses how to have a better online presence, online sales, and you could probably talk about it a lot better than I can, Sophie. You're a big part of helping us get all that established. But this, over 200, I think we're over 300 now, businesses, not just in the downtown. The grant allowed us to go outside of our downtown area and help other businesses. So we help them
Well,
get online.
you know what's consistent, Terry? I've been interviewing a number of businesses, and those that jumped onto your Digital Main Street grant early were blessed, and they're saying, I can't believe we were so blessed to have that support from Terry and his team in the Digital Main Street group to help us, like Green Street. They were one of the first ones on the Digital Main Street and with the grant. They got their new Shopify website up and they transferred everything to it. It was a lot of detailed work to put all of their work online. And Tiny Greens, not because they both have the word green in theirs, but it's two that came to mind. And both of them changed significantly how they did business.
Right.
Neither of them sold online to any degree before, and that was all they did. And they were busy. Yeah. Both teams were so busy, and it was such a relief to see that. But it was because I know they would not have been able to do it without that help.
You see, and this was one of the things that we were doing this before. We got grants and we were teaching our businesses before, but COVID made people get off the fence. The ones that were sitting back that kept, they just kept going with the old customers come through the door. That's all we need.
Sure. That's
not the way to go. You can't do that in today's market. You need to be online as best you can in order so you're open 7 days, 24/7. And without the cost of the four walls you're paying for. So, but there are some challenges. I get it. There's a lot of challenges. We won't get into that minutia, but it forced a lot of people to get off the fence and actually get some online presence. And customers want easy. And if you're not providing it for them, they're going to hit Amazon or eBay. And so we needed to make it easier, and we have. And the other thing that we did that really made it easier is we then combined all of our businesses that had digital sales or gift cards online.
That's right.
And we put them on a new website that we created in like 9 days during the heat of the pandemic called the Borough, BORO.ca. And a beautiful website. And then what we did is we matched it with branding. We ended up creating the Borough gift card.
Oh, cool.
Now, what is this? This is a game changer. This can only be used in our downtown businesses, and it is like a giant gift card that can be used at our businesses downtown. So,
at any business.
At any business in the downtown.
So it's like giving someone a prepaid credit card for downtown, right?
That's right.
Okay.
But they have to buy into it. Our businesses have to buy into it. So we've got over 140 businesses that have signed up for this, and we're well over it. So I think it was 100,000 in sales we were aiming for. We were aiming for $100,000 worth of sales in the first year.
Okay.
We did that in the first 3 months.
Oh my goodness, good for you.
Yeah. And again, we're one of the only BIAs in Ontario, almost in Canada. There's one out in Newfoundland who have
put this in place for their businesses and for their
all
population.
in the heat of a pandemic.
Yeah.
And that's my team. We've got a really great team, put in a lot of overtime hours for this. And then we did a gift card program with our members that kept them alive during the early stages of the pandemic.
Yeah, and remember all of that. If you can't go out to eat right now, at least get a gift card that you can give to somebody so you can use it later. Absolutely. Yeah. That was brilliant, Terry.
And I'm telling you, that had our staff working hundreds of hours overtime to administer. But it was really great that through that program, I know because I was writing the checks to the businesses every time those cars were sold, and to be able to send some money to businesses that, kudos to the community that went out and bought these and that are continuing to buy these cards. Kudos to the businesses. I'll just go over a couple of the other things that we did during the pandemic, and then I want to talk about how this has made us stronger when we're going to come out of it. We also just today launched our new website. So we've rebranded in a pandemic. We've got a new logo out and a new website that's more adaptive to today and to support our businesses. It also really is, it's very approachable for developers and business people who want to come and open business or to develop in the downtown. So it's very welcoming that way. And that's a new message as we're talking to, Rhonda Keenan and Peterborough Economic
Yeah.
Development in the chamber. And we're trying to figure out what do we need to do to attract people here? Because you and I know, Sophie, Toronto, these businesses out there who were locked down, they had to come up with 20,000 a month, roughly month for during lockdown to pay lease. Whereas, it's a lot more cheaper in downtown Peterborough. So we had a lot of business people going, you know what, Peterborough's looking good. That's why I'm not too concerned about some of the vacancies that are around. We either know of people that are interested and they're just waiting, and we don't have, it's funny how people talk, oh, the downtown's going to help. We don't have a bad vacancy rate. We are extremely healthy. When my colleagues come.
Well, one thing we did talk about before was if you're going to do another Win This Space, because I was thinking there were a lot of vacancies, and your answer was fabulous that you're saying that you pretty much each one of the vacant locations is earmarked that somebody is about to, over the next short while, take and turn that into something, which is so exciting.
Yeah, it's, we've had some of our best vacancy rates, in a long time recently. It's been great. And Win This Space that we launched we did for 3 years, created 13 businesses, helped create 13 businesses in the downtown. Not just the 3 winners, but we helped cultivate so many other businesses. So, and again, it's one of the most successful. It is garnered by the OBIAA, the Ontario Business Improvement Area Association, which I'm a board member, recent elected board member of now. But they garnered our Win This Space is one of the most successful. It's like the one to emulate. And
I know you're saying it over and over again, but I just want to add, I've been part of what's called EDCO, which is the Ontario Economic Development Coalition across Ontario. Now, I did not say what the name was correctly just there, now that I think about it. But for years, I've been, I think, 11 years on the judging for what communities do well across Ontario. And honestly, our DBIA, I know we love to complain about so many things, but when I'm sitting back at the table with all of those from across Ontario, and I see what we've done compared to others, as Terry was saying, we do so much more. The Win This Space was unheard of. That was fabulous. Jumping onto the digital Main Street as early as you did, and how you did it by bringing in your interns so quickly, you became the role model for other communities. I remember helping, obviously, your team and helping them train when they first embraced digital Main Street. Your team reached out and we talked about how it should be written and what we should do, which was fabulous. Then I want to say the first one who contacted me after that was a good 6 to 8 months later, after you had already started, and to say, okay, we need to do this now as well. And then the others started. So you positioned your members, all your businesses downtown, for success, not knowing about the pandemic, but for success so they could live through the pandemic so much more effectively than others did.
Yeah, you're right. We were the first BIA to apply for the digital Main Street.
Yep.
And grant. And we're constantly trying to, we're trying to be the first. We want to be the best downtown. And that's the goal. Anything short is failure. And so we want to make our we want to answer to our members, what is the DBI doing? Here's what we're doing. And I am extremely proud of what we did, thanks to a great board during a pandemic. Some of the other things we did is, as you know, we launched a One City Clean team that cleans the downtown. So hiring hard to employ individuals. And we expanded on that this summer. We just launched the One City Green team. So these are hard to employ individuals who are learning horticultural skills. And they're helping with all the plantings, all the flowers that we have downtown. I mean, we just spent $10,000 on flowers in our downtown. And so we've got this crew that's going to make sure they're looked after, and all the other greenery in the downtown. So this is just our way
It
of.
just makes it more welcoming. It's like you said, the way a lot of people judge a city is the way its downtown is, whether
Well,
they're going to move there, live there, play there, expand there, develop there. So as you said, Ron and Keenan and your economic development team absolutely know the value of our DBIA.
sure. And we've had, sadly, we have had a lot of strains that affect downtowns across Ontario more than any other part of the community. And those social economic strains were, extremely expedited by, and increased by COVID.
Absolutely.
So, but we had a lot of these serious issues in our community before the pandemic. Opioid crisis, housing crisis, mental health crisis, a poverty crisis. And these things were around before the pandemic, and they got exponentially worse in the pandemic.
Yep.
And we as a community weren't properly prepared for it, and still I believe our elected officials have been slow to react. And I could go on for hours on that, but I'll just tell you what we did.
Yeah.
So we did these outreach teams. We did the clean team. We did the green team that's out. I did 3 series of naloxone training for our businesses to put free naloxone kits and training for as many businesses as we can. So we trained probably, I think, anywhere about 100 to 150 people how to use a naloxone kit and gave them out free. I plan to do more of these naloxone kits. So for opioid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when somebody has.
That's right. I remember when you were doing that training, and a lot of my clients who are retailers downtown getting being involved.
Yeah. So our members are very caring in the downtown, and there's the vulnerable. They tend to be where the services are, and that's the downtown. So there needs to be a lot more support from not just the municipality, but definitely from the province and the federal government. We need proper mental health supports. We need proper funding for social services. We need Canadian mental health hands-on teams that are on the street, so they need proper funding. Our shelters need proper funding. And I really think that Peterborough needs a low or zero barrier shelter. I think that's part of the problem as well. So, there's a lot of strains and there's a lot of needs, but we try to do all we can. As we're a business improvement area, but people think that we should be able to tackle homelessness, mental health, poverty, addictions. I mean, if you gave me $20 million to our budget, we couldn't touch it.
Well, it's not your expertise. I mean, that's why
Not our
there are
expertise.
people who have the medical background and education and tenure that we need to bring in to help us, because you're absolutely right. Even though it's frustrating as a business owner, trying to pay their employees, trying to open up their business, can't open up your business, what products can I sell online? Which ones can't? And then you have the mental health issues going on around your store everywhere. I mean, that is something that definitely, when asked if it's an issue, they'll say yes. If something that definitely, when they ask, are their clients that come into the store wary of it? In some cases they are, but that was here before, like you said, and you're not mitigating it by any stretch. I'm not saying you're mitigating it and making it less than it is. It's something we're all need to be mindful of and try to help. But here we're talking about BizMap. how you helped the businesses, and all of the items you put into place for them made them very strong. There were some businesses I know that didn't want to participate. And I believe they're going to struggle because their clients have gone elsewhere because they've been used to now ordering online and they've made a relationship elsewhere. So I fear for them. We'll see
Yeah,
what happens.
bang on, Sophie. Because what has happened now is people. So let's talk about what happens now.
Yes, what happens
Um,
next?
Today is a great day because patios are open. So
Woohoo!
there's a sense of relief now that we're actually physically seeing the end of the light at the end of the tunnel. We're sick of hearing that, but we're finally seeing it. Now, the great thing is now people are more stronger with their social media presence in our downtown. Um, we have the borough card out, so now we've got a dedicated shopping ability to our downtown that is like turns downtown into a giant mall. Um, we have a more, this is the big one. We have now more appreciation for our customers,
Hmm.
and they have more appreciation of our businesses and what we do.
That's interesting you say that. I heard that from the Kawartha Family Business Group as well as we've been interviewing them recently. And they were saying those businesses that did well through that were able to survive the pandemic were the family businesses that really understood their clients during the pandemic, and they really communicated to them. And when I talked to some of your members, they're saying one of the things that they changed during the pandemic was how they spoke to their clients. They spoke to them more often because they now opened up their messengers on Facebook, their
Now,
messenger on
yeah,
Google listings, their messenger on their website. So now they were available to their clients and getting notifications on their cell phones, which they hadn't done
yeah.
before. And the clients got used to that and they got used to it. And
Mhm.
they increased their business during the pandemic, and few of them were saying it was based on the communication level they now have with their clients that they didn't before, which is almost antithesis to what you'd think because clients couldn't come in, but they were in touch with more clients.
I think, and definitely, and on top of that, I don't think you're going to have somebody who's has two people in front of them in a lineup for coffee getting antsy and upset anymore. I think we've grown a certain new level of patience. Waiting outside in the rain, in the cold, or the heat. Uh, you know, 20 people down just to get in to buy a pair of socks. So I think we're going to appreciate everything a lot more, and almost it'll be like a freedom. We're going to experience such a freedom, which is going to be wonderful. The other thing that we're coming out of this is before the pandemic, the DBI, we are working with the city's urban planner Brian Bouchard on what would it look like, a patio program in our downtown where each summer certain restaurants could put out patios, and we tried to test one at Nada's Cafe. I don't know if you remember that. We had to bump out a sidewalk, and they
Yep.
were able to do a patio. So we were testing it out. It was very expensive. It was very unwieldy. And then we got just too busy with everything we're doing naturally. And then the pandemic hit. And then we had to be forced to sit down and figure out what is the best way to do patios in the downtown. Now, last year, it was very rushed. There was no time to do major consultation, to do evaluation. We had to, and the city had to put up these ugly bollards. Rushing to try to, there was a desperation to try to meet the safety standards. I won't go into details, but and then out of it, so near the tail end of it, the DBI, we hired a firm to come in and do a study, doing a high level evaluation of all the changes, what went wrong, what worked, what needs to change, and we got a really good detailed report that we went to the city with and said, here are some of the changes. I'll just give you one example. People want to walk on sidewalks. So if they don't like walking on the street. So when you delineate to put them out on the street, they're not that comfortable. They
That
don't
got
like,
very confusing.
yeah.
Yeah, as to where were you
So
walking, where were you parking, where were you sitting? Yeah.
so we really sat down with the city, and we finally had the time, and the city had the time, and we had the time to do proper surveys, try to get every minutia of information. And I think what we launched here, honest, and again, it's going to sound like I'm bragging, but I'm really proud of our team in that. I think we have the best downtown patio system in the province, bar none. Our city paid for all those barriers. And there's this conformity. They all look this nice and clean. They all look the same. So instead of people banging 2x4s or rope as everybody was rushing to try to get a piece of a patio, now there's this beautiful, it just looks more clean. And there was a lot of thought. And these beautiful flower box delineators that are booked in at the end of each patio. Beautiful, beautiful. And so of course we met the city. We said, let's partner, and that's what that's good thing, good business when we all partner, and then create all these very fun, safe, passive events that, like the painted picnic tables. So we have I think we hired like 35 local artists to paint these picnic tables. We bought them and we put them out on all these patios. So you kind of have to do an art crawl to
nice.
Bought them. So, and there's even like, we got little children ones to go to some of the restaurants that have children as well. And there's one out there that has got a QR code, and you take your phone and you hit the QR code, and you have to find these hidden images.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's fabulous. So, and this is Don Pond, our vibrancy coordinator, who, we just sat down and we thought, look, everything's been so ugly the past year. It's just everything is,
Vibrance coordinator. I love it.
And I was glad I got a grant and was able to put the largest amount of holiday lights in the downtown in its history, 114 holiday lights. And everybody just went, that's beautiful. They just wanted beauty.
No, we needed it.
And you put the fountain back on. The city putting the fountain back on. Like, of course, put the bloody fountain back on. People need something good to, it's not all about bricks and mortar,
No, there's a lot of anxiety going on. There's a lot of mental health. I mean, just because we've opened our doors doesn't mean that anxiety and mental health issues are going to go by the wayside.
So here's the cool thing. Okay. So all those patios, I'm gonna give you what do you call it when you give a news person
an inside scoop?
Yeah. Here's a scoop for you. So the one thing I'm working on with the city right now is that each summer we see these patios pop up. So wouldn't that be right now? There's like 42 patios. And first of all, our restaurants and retailers are not going to recover as soon as everybody goes, it's okay, everybody else. It's going to take 3, 4, 5 years for them to replenish the debt, to get themselves back. I mean, right now it's still, you could lift the pandemic tomorrow. They are still suffering. They're in debt.
Well, people are still going to be shy to go out. They're going to trickle outside. It's not.
There's that as well, and the other part of it is we have really seen a fall in employment. People do not want to take a lot of these jobs back. Everybody's been, off and collecting CERB and that, and restaurants in particular having a hard time hiring staff back.
Because they can't find people to take care of their children.
And there's a lot of, and we need a really strong recovery plan. And this is another thing that we've been doing at the DBIA. We've been helping draft recovery plans for the levels of government, working really hard behind the scenes. And as I said to the city, as I said to our elected officials, and a letter that I wrote, and that we also a letter that we submitted with the OBIAA to the province, to Justin Trudeau himself. We are not going to fully recover from this pandemic until we deal with the issues that were here before the pandemic. That's the opioid crisis, the housing crisis, the mental health crisis, and the poverty crisis in this province, in all of Canada. And it won't matter what we do if we don't get a handle on these issues in our community. We've got a lot of things we need to take care of and do better, for the right reasons, for the people themselves, and so here's the good news that I'm going to end on.
Okay.
So Look, a lot of great things are ready to go. It's like we've been struggling up this roller coaster, and it's been hard, and we're pushing. We're almost at the top now. We're coming in for the fun. And for those that say I'm crazy, no, listen, here's the good news. Here's what's really happening. There are a lot of businesses pending opening right now. And so there's some that are waiting for the opportune time to open. We also have major developments that are happening in the downtown and just on the periphery of the downtown. Aspen Realty, Sumner's building, the Y Lofts are almost done. That old ugly eyesore on George Street, the former Shoppers Drug Mart beside the CIBC, that's going to see his 5-story. So we are going to see in the area, and including East City, at least another 2,000 to 3,000 people living within a walking distance of the downtown. That's what you need. The second thing that we see is the urban
live, work, and play. That's what we're all about. Live, work, and play in our city and our downtown.
And the play part is very important. Our urban park is going to be done this September. So why is that important? It's important because every major good downtown has at least 3 urban parks. You need places for public to not only do events. We were running out of spaces to do events. Millennium Park was great, but it's small. It's also constantly being used. We have more events than any other downtown in the region, by far. It's another thing that we do really great. You can't find a weekend, June, July, August, September. We got the busiest, forget about it. And our music fest down at Delcroix Park. We need places to do events. Even protests. We need place for people to protest, do political things, or do, activism or fundraising. The urban park's going to be that. Plus, it's going to have a skating rink that will have a freezer element, a refrigeration element, so that it can run longer than the canal. It can run like mid-March to way into October.
Wow.
Right through the winter to And this is great because we don't have things for families and kids to do in the downtown. We don't even have a play structure in the downtown, for God's sakes. So now we're going to be able to attract people in the downtown. Our free Wi-Fi is still going outside, so people can navigate on that. We'll add it into the urban park maybe, but and that's going to have a stage with more music. So that's coming. So you have all the elements that are there that there's just so much to look forward to, and I really say
so much for you to put your passion into. And I appreciate the fact that you are one of the most passionate DBIA managers, general managers out there. And how long have you been doing this now?
8 years. But
8 years.
But before this, the last guy was here for 4 years. I came in as an interim. When they lost their executive director, and I helped them get through event season.
Okay.
With a big event background, but I didn't take the job full time after that. I was still very happy singing and entertaining
and being on council. I believe you're on council for many years.
I worked at a law office as well. But then when the opportunity came up again 8 years ago, September, it just was the right time, and I jumped on it. And we have got.
Well, you certainly don't sit still, Terry. You push it, and that's another thing I found consistent from those businesses that did well through the pandemic. They said every few days we're trying to come up with innovation on what we can do different, what we can push. Something might not work the next day and the next day, but another idea comes up and we try that. And that's what you're all about as well, is you're not sitting back and just hoping something works. You learn from your peers across Ontario, from what I'm seeing, because you speak to them, you collaborate, and then you look to see what's happened. You bring in the right people to make it happen. Thank you so much.
That's another thing that happened throughout this pandemic. OBIAA, again, it's the Ontario Business Improvement Area Association. We started having, right from the beginning of the pandemic last March, meetings twice a week on Zoom.
Good. I'm glad you did. I assumed you did because, they are
every Tuesday and Thursday. So I would sit down, I would be on Zoom with 50 other BIAs across Ontario. What are you seeing? What are you doing to survive? How are you zigzagging, or that terrible word we all hate now,
Pivoting.
What
Yeah.
are you, how are you pivoting? And we were all sharing ideas. And again, I don't want to brag, but I'm telling you, they were all marveling and taking a lot of notes of what our downtown was doing. And that's because of my incredible staff who were very, very, honestly, they wore themselves out and are still doing it. I'm constantly getting sheets of the overtime, the lieu that they're putting in, because they're really, really passionate. And we have got the best DBI board, I think, in the region as well. And they're very active and they're very hands-on. That's why we're able to do all we can. But here's the other thing, and you're going to appreciate this, and then I'll shut up.
I don't believe you.
No, don't. Why I have faith in our community? We've got an awesome, we got awesome entrepreneurs. We got strong, creative and resilient entrepreneurs. But we also have, as you know, Team Peterborough. Mm-hmm. And actually, on my notes, I created a little list of things that we did in response for COVID, because I'm just trying to prepare for our AGM coming up and just reflecting on all we did, because we really haven't had a chance to do it. So you kind of pushed me when you wanted to do this interview to sit down and say, what did you do? The very first thing on this on a I don't know, 6-page list is Team Peterborough, Team PTBO.
Team PTBO.
And Stu Harrison over at the Chamber, Rhonda Keenan, superstar, absolute superstar.
She is. At
Peterborough Economic Development, and our good friends at the city. But Team Peterborough, if we didn't have the ability and to put away egos and to collectively, I'm sorry, I almost forgot Community Futures.
Yep, Gail.
The Gail and
Gail Morehouse, powerhouse.
Miss Moneybags.
Yes.
And if we
constantly creative ways of
my God,
finding entrepreneurs money.
So if these people inside and out, and when I would turn to them during the pandemic, I said, I'm thinking of this, let's do it. There was no, well, how's it going to work, Terry? Or we'll come in once we see it working. It was like, we're there. What do you want to do? And I'm really proud of that. And I know from my colleagues, from Gail to Rhonda and her team, to you, to the Chamber of Commerce and the board members of there, they all care about each and every business in our community. They're not numbers. We're not so big as like in a big city where everybody's lost. They know their names. They know their children's name. We even know our pets' names. I bet you can name most of your friends' pets' names.
Of course.
On the Chamber board. Yeah. So this is what's great, because somebody coined it that we're the biggest, smallest city, or there's all kinds of different ways that we're a urban city.
Well, it's unique for those community partners that you mentioned to actually dialogue, and in time of crisis, often people will run and just and hide, or they'll run and just protect their own dollars, because often you're all funded from the same pocket eventually if you go high enough up. So in your case, what they've done consistently is once you guys started collaborating, which might have been 5 years now, maybe 7, you guys have gotten better and better and better and better at it. Because I know when I first moved to the city, they weren't talking to each other, which was the norm. It's just the norm. In many of the cities, they still tear their fabric apart by their community partners, their chamber, their DBIA, their community futures, and their economic and their ACDEV not talking to each other. That is a huge problem in many of our cities. Here, I'm so happy to hear that it's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah, the communication that was going on was a lot more than, okay, how can we help the businesses? What's the plan here? There was a lot of, how are you feeling today?
Yeah, you had to do that during the pandemic. Yeah.
What support can I give you mentally? Yeah. Spiritually?
Oh, don't make me start crying.
Yeah. It was a difficult time for everybody, and it really had a mental health toll on a lot of people, our staffs. I was on the phone a lot of time with businesses that were losing everything, and they were crying, and they just didn't know what to do. And as we were, as community leaders in our organizations, we were doing all we could to save our businesses and do what we can, to keep, you know, to keep a positive
You
face.
had to be human. I felt like a psychiatrist at the beginning of the pandemic.
There
Every
you
time
go.
I go online and do a session like this to help coach on how they ended up, how they were going to go online, what kind of e-commerce tools do they need, and how do we make that happen hands-on, there would be tears. And
Yeah.
it was because of the unknown. It was because their family were falling apart. It was all these things happening inside that they couldn't control. And then it was just anxiety as to when it will be over. There's some of the strongest people I'd ever met. I'd be on a call and they would crumble. And I go, wow. So everyone's job changed every time. Sometimes your job was to pump someone up. Sometimes your job was, I'm just can't, I need to hide right now. And then someone else is pumping you up.
We just released a video yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it, a video about our downtown. And it is very emotional. It goes to a place we've never gone before as a DBIA for a promotional video.
Everyone's tired, whether you're busy trying to add that third shift or whether you're just trying to keep your head above water. They've been running on all cylinders is what I've seen in our local community right now.
With COVID, for the restaurants and cafes and things like that, lots of us are trying to, get a meal a week or more than a meal a week, but really that's just life support. Our community here, as we come out of COVID, will be so clear that what it needs is us. I think about before COVID, things like the First Friday art crawls downtown. The great thing was it's not simply the businesses, it was the arts communities, but it was also the broad community, the people you were running into, and how fun and interesting and exciting it was.
You might be supporting a local restaurant, but that restaurant owner hires so many students, and those students support the strength and good reputation of our academic institutions, who in turn are pumping out different skill sets. And so I think it is very important to be supporting the internal cycle.
It's just, who do you know, right? Who do I know? Who do we know? Who is dependent on, supported by, needs to go to, loves to participate in the kinds of local and independent businesses we have? And for myself, the answer is most people I know.
It really shows the plight of the small business, the entrepreneur, and what they've been going through, and how it's more important, more than ever now, to shop local, to support your downtown small business, get the hell off of Amazon, and make that extra effort, and because these are the businesses that are going to fund your baseball team, are going to fund your son, your spouse, your neighbor, right? And they're the ones that are going to keep the money in the community. So this video features it all. And I got a Facebook message from a young businessman from Sudbury who owns a business in downtown Sudbury. That was completely surprised, but he saw my video, our video, and he's got a young family. And he said, you guys captured all the fear and anxiety I've been going through. And it really touched me. I was in tears as a young businessman. I got 4 months left before I close the door, and I don't know how to feed my kids and my wife. Oh. And you captured all that in the video, the importance of supporting small business now, and he said in it, everybody thinks that these businesses were all like these rich big cats. This is what he said. He said, we're not. we're check by check, we're sale by sale. And so that was very moving that we were able to capture that. And it's just having that deeper understanding as we're listening to our members. But yeah, we're human. We've been hearing, we've been dealing with an awful lot of heartache. We need to just stop every once in a while and just remind ourselves that there's people behind those businesses and there's families, and we're good. We really are. Again, it's really tacky, and the light at the end of the tunnel. I hate hearing it, but we really are. And I'm looking forward to tonight. I'm actually booked on a patio, and I am going to go out. It's actually my wedding anniversary.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
it's timed in perfectly with the patios. And I'm going to go sit out on a patio tonight, and I am going to have a pint
Oh, nice.
and celebrate. That's
Celebrate, buddy.
That's if my wife allows me that. And thank you, Sophie, for all you do too. There's a lot of the digital presence in this community is thanks to you and all the promotion that you do. But it's also what you add on social media and that, there's a big presence of, there's always smiling faces with you and business leaders in this community, and you bring them to the forefront. So, there's a lot of people doing some heavy lifting out there, and you did an awful lot during some trying times for yourself, and yet you put the smile on, and you did what you had to do, and you were a big light for a lot of people, and it didn't go unnoticed. And the community really thinks a lot of you, and so do I, and thank you for all you do.
Don't make me cry, but thank you. Yeah, I'm not going to go there because I can't, but thank you. And I love this city, and this keeps me going right now. I have to do BizMap, or else I think too much about my husband, and then all I do is cry. So that's why I'm doing this. I figure give back to the community, try and figure out how we can continue to help each other come out of this as strong as we can. And we're not perfect. We are not perfect, but working together and shopping local. Oh, what else is there? And we're going to make it through.
We are.
Yes. You have a happy anniversary. Okay, Terry. Big hugs, virtual hugs.